Today, I'm going to share with you 4 things that freight brokers need to do before cold calling. And here are my notes. You guys, I took some notes because I want to make sure that you guys fully comprehend what we're talking about today. And here's the facts. I want you to understand this. If you do not do these 4 steps as a freight broker before you start your cold calling, there's a very, very high likelihood that you will fail. I can't make it any more simple. I can't make it any more urgent. I can't make it any more clear. That is just the way it is. So these 4 steps, these 4 tips that I'm going to share with you, here's the good news. Anybody can do the things that I'm going to share with you today. You don't need to be a rocket scientist. You don't need to have tons of sales experience. You don't need to be an entrepreneur. You don't need to have experience in freight brokerage or trucking. None of that. You can learn these steps very, very simply. So let's dive into the 4 steps. All right. Number 1 on the list is you have to do your research. Every prospect, before you reach out to them, you have a list of prospects you're going to go after that are in your niche. You've got XYZ manufacturing. And before you call that number, you need to do your research and gather some basic sales intelligence. You go to LinkedIn, you go to Google, and you go to the company website and you gather some information, some relevant and contextual information that helps to educate you and give you an edge over the competition. The goal of gathering that information is to differentiate yourself from the competition, all right? So you need to gather some sales intelligence. Very, very important. Number 2, you need to prepare your sales hook. Now, what is a sales hook? A sales hook is what differentiates you from the competition and gets your prospects' attention. The hardest part about sales is the first 15 seconds of that cold call. You have to get their attention. If you don't get their attention right away, you're almost guaranteed to lose. It's going to be a very short call, ending with something like, I don't have time or we're not interested. Okay? But if you create a compelling sales hook, if you use that sales intelligence and that data that you gathered before you made the call, and you create a compelling sales hook and you deliver it quickly and effectively, you are going to get their attention. Now, that attention is only going to buy you a couple more minutes of time to move on into the next phase of the sales call, okay? You have to be ready. This is number 3 on the list. You have to be ready to ask good questions. So you have to have a list of questions, common questions, things that are going to be thought-provoking, whether those be icebreakers to build rapport, whether those be questions specific to your sales hook, whether that be questions specific to your industry or your niche. You have to be prepared to ask good questions, okay? Selling is not about talking. Selling is not about presenting. Selling is about asking the questions and listening, and then taking that information and leveraging it as a way to navigate the sales process, okay? And number 4, you have to be prepared to leave a good voicemail, okay? Because not everybody's going to pick up the phone, and you are going to want to leave voicemails. Maybe not on every single call. You're probably going to want to leave voicemails for every prospect that doesn't pick up the phone, at least once, maybe multiple times, depending upon what your voicemail is, depending upon the circumstances, and depending upon how many times you've called them, okay? But here's an example. Here's a voicemail script that's a part of my Freight Broker Sales Accelerator. I walk through in my Freight Broker Sales Accelerator, which is my, it's sold out. You can't join it. But if you do want to get on the wait list, you could check it out at freightbrokerbootcamp.com/waitlist. We will be opening it up again in the near future, probably the next 60 to 90 days. That's where I take this piece of my brain all about freight broker sales. It's an advanced sales training program and system that I teach. It's the heart and soul of how I was able to do over $200 million as a freight broker. But here, the bottom line is this. We go over my voicemail sample script. This is my winning voicemail blueprint. It starts with an intro. and then a reason, which is your sales hook, and then a call to action, and then your contact info, right? Here's a simple example. I'll give you an example of a voicemail. Hi, Mr. Prospect. The reason for my call is, right? And then you go to the reason. We're working with other logistics managers in the steel industry to help them spend less time sourcing and negotiating and dispatching carriers and more time supporting their customer needs. The call to action is, I was just wondering if I could get a few minutes of your time to discuss how you're balancing this issue and if there's any way that we can make your job easier. Give me a call back at 716-515-1212. This is Dennis Brown with XYZ Logistics, 716-555-1212. That's an example of a winning voicemail blueprint, right? But you need to be prepared to deliver that voicemail, all right? So that was number 4, but I'm going to give you a bonus tip. And this is one that really probably should have been number 1 on the list, right? And this is number 5. This is the bonus tip. Get your mind right. Get your mind right, okay? The biggest barrier to sales is typically your own limitations and your own mindset. I know that sounds a little hokey, but it's a fact. If you are jumping on a phone call and you're already prepared and for negativity and losing, and you have all these negative thoughts in your head, like, oh, nobody wants to do business with me. Nobody wants to talk to me. Wah. Okay, sales is so hard. Wah, right? You have to fix your mindset, right? You have to understand and set good expectations. The fact is that the goal of a cold call is not to get the sale. It's very, very, very rare you are going to get a sale on the first call. The goal of a sales call is to make a good first impression, build rapport, right? Find some common ground, gather some sales intelligence, some additional sales intelligence, and then set up the next action, the next step, right? So setting good expectations in your mind, setting those goals in your mind, getting your mind right, and realizing that you need to push out that negativity. And I know it's challenging because sales, there is some negativity. You're going to get a lot more no's than there are yeses, but you have to reframe those no's in your mind. That no brings you closer to the next yes, okay? There's some great books out there on mindset, right? And I think that you need to learn and frame your mindset. You need to get your mind right before you start making those sales calls. So I'm going to review them really quick. Number 1, do your research, gather sales intelligence. Number 2, prepare a compelling sales hook. Number 3, be ready to ask good questions. Number 4, prepare to leave a good voicemail, something that's compelling. And number 5, which is your bonus tip, which is get your mind right. Okay. Those are the 5. So listen, really quickly. If you're curious about becoming a freight broker or a freight agent, and you're looking for some help, you're looking for some guidance, you're looking for a step-by-step process, check out freightbrokerbootcamp.com. We've trained over 10,000 students, been in business over a decade. I've personally done over $200 million as a freight broker, and we have the most cost-effective and comprehensive online freight broker and freight agent training program available. You can check that out at freightbrokerbootcamp.com. If you like this training, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Particularly if you're on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell to make sure you get notified. Thank you guys so much for being here. Make sure you come back for another Freight Broker Bootcamp Live every Monday at noon.